All right, so the first one that I want to go over is number 3, and it says dy dx equals x cubed y. And there's no initial conditions, so we're going to do the general solution. So we're going to divide over y, 1 over y dy, and then multiply over dx. So x cubed dx. And then antiderivative. And so on the left side, we're going to have ln. And on the right side, we'll have 1/4 x to the 4th plus c. And we're going to just leave the plus c in there, again, because there's not an initial condition. So we're finding an infinite number of answers. So we just need to get y by itself. To get rid of the ln, you're exponentiating. So it's e to the power of all of this. Now, e is a number, c is a number. So we put that out front just as one big constant. And then you'll have e to the power 1/4 x to the 4th. Overall, that went well. The only thing I kind of had to take some points on and why I wrote a note to myself on this one to go over it is a lot of people miss the plus and minus. You need the plus and minus when you get rid of the absolute value. Absolute value means a distance from 0, and you can go in the positive direction or you can go in the negative direction. So that's why the absolute value gives you that plus minus. And if you think about what this graph would look like, an exponential is going to have a horizontal asymptote. And it can either be up here and swoop like this, or you can have one that's down here negative and swoop like this if it's reflective. So again, for this to represent an infinite number of answers, it needs to represent the positive answers and the negative answers, like all of them, because there's an infinite number of them. So that's why you need the plus minus there. Now, if there is an initial condition, you just get one particular answer, and then you would choose, do I want the plus or do I want the minus? But for the general solution, you need that in there. All right, and then number 4, I wanted to go over. Number 4 has a negative exponent, which just tends to throw people off. So I just want to make sure we go over this one. Now, this has an initial condition, y of 0 equals 1. So we're going to get one particular solution. And when you separate the variables, when you divide this over, it would be 1 over y to the 5th, which I'm going to write is y to the negative 5th dy. That does not go to ln. It's only if it's 1 over y. If it's 1 over y to the anything else, that's not going to be ln. You can't do ln y to the 5th. It's not a thing. This is the only pattern that's going to give you ln. And then multiply over the dx. You can put a 1 in front of that if that helps you, if you want to put a 1 there kind of as a placeholder. So this is negative. When you add 1 to the power, that makes it less negative. So y to the negative 4th. And then you need to divide by that. So a negative 1/4 out front. I have a lot of people put just a negative, but not the 1/4. You need to make sure you're reciprocating this exponent. That's the number you're dividing by. And then on the right side, we'll have just x and then plus a constant. So we want to plug this in, 0 for x, 1 for y. It's a lot easier to plug values in if you fix that negative exponent. It means that that y to the 4th comes back down to the denominator. So I usually just take a step and fix that before plugging anything in. And we're going to plug in 0 for x, that's gone, 1 for y. So c is negative 1/4. I'm going to recopy this line and just put that in for c. And then your last step is to get y by itself. So here's what's going to happen because it's in the denominator. You're going to multiply over the y to the 4th and then divide over this x minus a 4th. These two items I put the parentheses around are essentially just going to switch places. So we multiplied over the y to the 4th and then divided over this quantity. And then last thing, we're going to do a 4th root. Now, again, if it was the general solution, you would put a plus minus, but we want one particular solution. So we're choosing if we want plus or minus, and this is positive. So we want the positive 4th root. So it's going to be a 4th root of all of this. And you can keep it exactly like it is, but a lot of people distributed the 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It would be 4x minus 1. All right, so those were the 2 that I had just made a note on. I'm going to open it up to you guys. If you have a question or another one that you want me to go over, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. You can type it to me privately if you want, but are there any other ones that you guys want to go over together?